Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So now we start chanting the prayers from page 1 together. That's page 1, right?
Yeah.
Mangala chant. Okay. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Loudly, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Wasn't that purifying? Everybody chanting together. Very nice. Okay, so we start with Bhagwad Gita. We covered up to verse 8 last time? 8 or 9? 8. Okay. So, what were the points that were covered last time? It was a 2-hour class, but you don't have to go that deep. Some overviewing points that you remember?
We discussed the context of the Bhagavad Gita, like the battle of Kurukshetra.
Okay. What else? Different participants. Okay. In detail. Okay. Different names.
Importance of Guru in the spiritual life.
Importance of Guru in one's spiritual life. Anything more on this? What do we remember?
Guru Nanak's
Example. Okay, very good. The importance of a preceptor or a teacher was spoken about last time. Okay, what else? Any one story about any one personality that we remember? Any one personality. Okay, just pick one personality out of the blue that we spoke about. Arjuna. Easy to say a story about him. Huh? Well known. Then saying Vikarna and Kunti Bhoja and Arjuna. I take Arjuna first. Okay, Virata. Okay. Anything about Arjuna that you remember? Any one short story? Arjuna is the central figure of the Bhagavad Gita. He's the primary listener of the Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna is the teacher. So what do we remember about Arjuna? You picked up a easier name.
That story when he wanted to get married.
I see. We spoke about how powerful Arjuna's aim was, that to get married to Draupadi, he was ready to shoot the eye of the dead fish by looking into its reflection. He was able to shoot the arrow, the the eye of the rotating fish with his arrow by looking at its reflection. He was that powerful. Okay, what do we remember about Bhishma, as he said? Any one thing about Bhishma that you remember from our discussion?
Took a vow of celibacy.
He took a vow of celibacy. He was a Kshatriya, he was almost to be the king. And then he said, well, I'm not going to get married, I'm not going to have children, just to keep the pratigya, right, like an oath, like a promise. He took this vrata just to keep his father happy, because his father, there's a long story there. Shantanu and Satyavati, which we covered. Okay, therefore he was called as Bhishma, because in Sanskrit Bhishma means wonderful. Okay, Virata. What do we remember about Virata? That
The Pandavas hid out in his kingdom.
the Pandavas were living incognito in Virata's kingdom, and Arjuna was the dance teacher, and Bhima was the cook. So everybody is doing what they like. Huh? Okay, alright. So we finished up to verse 8. Now we start verse 9. So we'll read together. We'll read the Sanskrit and then we'll go into the meaning, and then the Sanskrit, then the explanation. Alright? Can we read together? Anye cha bahavaha shura mad arte tyakta jivita nana shastra praharanaha sarve yuddha visharada. So here, Duryodhana is speaking this verse to Dronacharya. Duryodhana is the central figure for being wicked. He's the villain of the story, right? And he's speaking to his teacher, and he's speaking about how there are many heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. And the word used here is mad arte tyakta jivita. Actually, tyakta jivita, according to Sanskrit, is a usage for the past tense, in the sense that they have already laid down their life for me. Prabhupada actually mercifully translates that as they're prepared to risk life, but tyakta jivita actually means they've already given up their life. So, goddess Saraswati, who is the goddess of speech, when Duryodhana is speaking to his guru, she sits on his tongue and speaks the truth, which he doesn't want to speak. Duryodhana wants to say that they will be ready, or they will lay down their life. But Goddess Saraswati speaks the truth that they have already laid down their life. Tyakta jivita. Tyakta means already given up. And jivita means jivanam, life. So they have already sacrificed life for me. Just like in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 33, chapter 11, text 33, Krishna talks about the soldiers in the opponent army. And he says, look, they're already dead. I have already killed them. He tells Arjuna that they're already dead, you simply have to drop their bodies down. I have already killed them. So similarly here, Duryodhana is telling his teacher, all these people that we spoke about in the opponent army, forget it. But people in my army, they've already given up their life for me. Another commentator speaks and explains that this signifies their surrender towards Duryodhana. That they are ready to give up their life for Duryodhana, but not back off. Right? They are ready to take the spot. This also explains Duryodhana's. One commentator explains, one acharya explains that this also signifies Duryodhana's pride. Right? You can envy the Lord in 3 ways. You can envy the Supreme Lord in 3 ways. Sometimes people ask this question. You always say we are envious of God, we are envious of God. No, well, I'm not envious of God. How many of us are envious of God? See, none of us think we are envious of God. Because we think, well, I might be envious of him because he has a car. I'm envious of him because he has a better position than I'm in. So I'm definitely okay, I accept. I'm envious of this guy or this girl But envious of God? Well, I know He's God. But it is described in the scriptures, we envy the Supreme Lord in 3 ways. Are we ready to know what those 3 ways are? The first is we envy the Supreme Lord as being the supreme destructor. The personality of supreme destruction. In the sense that when we say God destroys, the living entity thinks, well, even I can destroy. It's not that just God can destroy, even I can destroy. Look how many people I can kill. The murderers especially, when they kill people, it's like, look, for the sake of money, for the sake of position, I can slit anybody's throat. I am so powerful. I can do whatever I want. Especially the head gangsters, you'll find, they're like, oh, shoot him down. Oh, kill him. It's very normal for them. It's like as if cutting vegetables. Kill this guy. Kill her. In the sense that their life is so insignificant. Just with one slit, I can kill all of them. Their life is insignificant and I am the supreme destroyer. If God thinks He can destroy, even I can destroy. So now all of y'all are thinking, oh, that's about the gangsters and the murderers. How about me? Right? We, if not destroy others, we are ready to destroy the self. Through meat eating, through drinking, through smoking. We are addicted to these habits. It's not directly, well, I can destroy myself. But most of them even know that by smoking or drinking, they are going to destroy their bodies eventually. But they're so addicted to the habit, they're not able to give it up. So it's like if God can destroy, well, look, even I can destroy. I can destroy my body or I can destroy others in the mode of destruction. Then we envy the Supreme Lord in the spirit of creation. It's not that God alone can create, even I can create. And that's the root, that understanding is the summum bonum of material enjoyment in the form of sex life. And these days people create contraceptives and so many of these preventive measures where you can enjoy the process of creating, but you don't want to create. Too much of responsibility. In the Vedic sense, the flickering temporary pleasure of uniting was meant so that eventually that which is the byproduct or the result is taken care of. It's a positive responsibility. So for the sake of taking care of that child, for the rest of your life, that temporary pleasure is given. But the present generation is such that I want the pleasure but I don't want the responsibility. I want the pleasure of creating, but I don't want the responsibility of creation. So it's not that just God can create, even I can create. So the spirit of love for God gets completely pervertedly reflected in the form of lust. Love for God, selfless love for God through service gets reflected as service to the self through lust. So we envy the Supreme Lord in destruction, in creation. And now about those who are celibate, who are neither into illicit sexual activities nor into destroying others. How can you envy the Supreme Lord? Through maintenance. The Supreme Lord is the supreme, He's the ultimate maintainer. Well, look how many hospitals I'm maintaining. Look how many people's lives are being maintained by my salary. Look how I'm maintaining others. Look, such a nice philanthropist I am. Such a nice social reformer. How people are appreciating me. I'm maintaining their spiritual lives. I'm maintaining their social lives. I am maintaining their health and hygiene. So it's at every step we want to enjoy. And we can't accept that the Supreme Lord is the only enjoyer. So in this case we find that Duryodhan is envying the Supreme Lord in the mode of destruction. Look how everybody is ready to lay down their life for me. I am so influential and powerful that they have all come here just to submit their lives at my lotus feet. Right? Tyakta Jivita. Next verse. Can we keep moving the verses? Next verse. Let's chant together. Aparyaptam tad asmakam balam bhishma bhirakshitam paryaptam tu idam tesham balam bhima bhirakshitam. The second line is Balam Bhishma Abhirakshitam. And the fourth line is Balam Bhima Abhirakshitam. So Abhirakshanam, Rakshanam means protection. Abhirakshanam, well protected. Balam Bhishma Abhirakshitam. Bhishma is protecting the Kauravas and Balam means strength. So the strength of Bhishma is protecting the Kauravas, and fourth line, the strength of Bhima is protecting the Pandavas. Right? Interestingly, the word Paryaptam is used. The first line is Aparyaptam and the third line is Paryaptam. In Sanskrit, according to the rules of Sanskrit, when A is added preceding a word, the meaning gets negative, right? So, Aparyaptam and Paryaptam. So, two of our great acharyas in the line have given different meanings to the same word. Srila Baladev Vidya Bhushan, a great acharya in the Gaudiya line, from whose works Srila Prabhupada is inspired, and he heavily takes his commentary from Baladev Vidya Bhushan. And Baladev Vidya Bhushan's guru Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur both have commented on this verse, and they are slightly different. So we'll see what the differences are. Baladev Vidya Bhushan comments the way Prabhupada has said. Aparyaptam is immeasurable, so therefore Paryaptam would be measurable, right? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Aparyaptam tad asmakam. He says Aparyaptam to be insufficient. Just like Baladev Vidyabhushan says Aparyaptam is immeasurable. Look, they're just opposite words. Duryodhana is telling Dronacharya, our army, the strength is immeasurable because it's being protected by Bhishma, while they are being protected by Bhima, so it's measurable. Baladev Vidyabhushan says that. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, O spiritual master, our army is insufficient, while their army is sufficient. Insufficient because it's protected by Bhishma, while sufficient because it is protected by Bhima. Seems to be contradictory things, isn't it? Baladev's Vidyabhushan says, our team is stronger than their team, immeasurable and measurable. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, his guru, says insufficient and sufficient. What is the reason behind the contradiction? Is there a contradiction or no? What do you think? Do the acharyas contradict themselves?
Different viewpoints. One is looking from this side, other is looking from that side.
Perfect. It's completely valid and there is no contradiction, but just the angle of their vision is different. Baladev Vidyabhushan is called as Tattva Acharya, where he speaks according to philosophy. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is called as Rasa Acharya, where he speaks according to the sweetness or the mood, the spirit. Right? One is speaking about the external, one is speaking about the internal. So let's see what Baladev Vidyabhushan says. Baladev says, we are protected by Bhishma, therefore we are immeasurable. They are protected by Bhima, so they are measurable. What does this mean? It talks about this fighting spirit, the fighting capability. Bhishma is more capable than Bhima, therefore our strength is immeasurable and their strength is measurable. Now what does Vishwanath Chakravarti say? He talks about the spirit of fighting. Is Bhishma more into the war or is Bhima more into the war?
Bhima.
Why do you think Bhima is more into the war?
Because Bhishma anyways he didn't want to fight in first place, but his blood was boiling.
Yes, that's the spirit. Bhima's blood was boiling, as you said. He wanted to fight. He wanted to break their teeth, hands, legs, bones. He was like a perfect warrior. So his spirit of fighting is way more deeper than Bhishma's spirit. Bhishma is just like, oh, as part of ritual. And I don't want to fight the Pandavas. Arjuna is my favorite student. I can't fight them. I can't defeat them. I don't want to fight. Things like that. So is this clear? Where you say, Baladev says, we are immeasurable and they are measurable. And Vishwanath Chakravarti says, we are sufficient. We are insufficient while they are sufficient. Is this point clear? Can somebody repeat what Baladev says and can somebody else repeat what Vishwanath Chakravarti says? So that I'm confident we can go ahead.
Acharya Baladev is commenting based on the tattva, which means the facts.
Yes.
So as per the facts, he's measuring it materially and saying that Bhishma is more powerful than Bhima.
Yes.
Therefore, their army is stronger. Bhishma's
Yes.
army is stronger.
Now who's gonna explain Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's take on it? Yes.
So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says he looks at the fight in terms of the spirit, in terms of the rasa,
The mood of the warrior.
of the warrior. So Bhishma Pitama, the Pandavas are his grandchildren as well, and he has a connection towards them, and he's only fighting because it's his duty and because he has to safeguard his kingdom.
Right.
Whereas Bhima, on the other hand, he's fighting because everything is at stake for him. His
Right.
wife was disrespected in the full of court.
Right.
This is a matter of what's right and what's wrong.
Right.
They deserve the kingdom and they still don't have it.
So the spirit of
he
Bhima
has more
was
spirit.
more in the
Right.
war. Alright? So therefore the word is, if you read the Sanskrit, it is aparyaptam to asmakam and paryaptam. So paryaptam and aparyaptam are used interchangeably. Alright, text 11. Anayeshu cha sarveshu यथा भागम् अवस्थिता भीष्मम् एवाभिरक्षन्तु भवन्तः सर्व एव हि. Can somebody read the English?
All of you must now give full support to Grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army.
Okay, very interesting. So so Duryodhan is playing such a game. In the previous verses, you would find that he speaks about Vikarna. There's a mention of a warrior by the name Vikarna, right? Actually, if you see, Vikarna doesn't even come in the normal league of great fighters. He talks about Drona, he talks about Bhishma, and then he talks about Vikarna. Vikarna is not a very great warrior to be compared with Drona and Bhishma. But why is Duryodhan using Vikarna's name in the previous verses? It is because out of all the Kauravas, only Vikarna, he protested against the disrobing of Draupadi. Alright? When Draupadi was being disrobed, the wife of the Pandavas, Draupadi, was being disrobed, all the Kauravas were quiet. But it was only Vikarna who said, well, this is wrong. You shouldn't do this. And according to the rules of Kshatriya war, you can switch sides before the start of the battle. But once it begins, you have to be loyal. So now, Duryodhan, he has this idea, well, I remember Vikarna was the only one who protested, who raised an appeal when Draupadi was being disrobed. It's possible that Vikarna might leave our camp and go to the Pandavas before the war starts. And I don't want Vikarna to do that. Therefore, great warriors like Dronacharya, Bhishma, Vikarna. Why is he doing that?
Boost his ego.
Just to boost his ego, to butter him. Maska marna, so to speak. He's buttering him so that he stays. And Vikarna is like, oh wow, am I that important? Yes, Vikarna, look! Drona, Bhishma, Karna, Vikarna. And interestingly, till the time Bhishma Dev was alive on the battlefield, Karna did not enter the battlefield. You know that story, right? Bhishma and Karna weren't very favorable towards each other. They were like, not as enemies, but they were not positively disposed towards each other. And Karna's thing was, if Bhishma's in the battle and the Kauravas win, then all the credit goes to Bhishma. Then what's the point in my presence? I'll come in only when Bhishma is no more. So after Bhishma passes away and leaves his body, that's when Karna enters. So he names everyone. Duryodhana names even Karna, so to speak, that it shouldn't happen that Karna is taking a back seat, waiting for Bhishma to die, and then by then Kunti goes and tells Karna that, well, you're actually my son. You should join my team. So therefore he says, I have so many powerful warriors in my side. Dronacharya, Bhishma, Karna, Vikarna. And similarly, that's the same thing that he is doing here in verse 11. He says, all of you must give full support to grandfather Bhishma. He spoke to Dronacharya for a long time, isn't it? Duryodhana is speaking to Dronacharya. Now it shouldn't happen that Bhishma thinks that, well, he's speaking only to Dronacharya. I have no importance at all. So he calls grandfather. He's now playing an emotional game. Oh, you're my grandfather. He's my guru, therefore I spoke to him first, but you're my grandfather. And all of you, don't be sad because I didn't take your name. All of you all are important. You have to support grandfather Bhishma. Two things in this. One, he's special to me, he's my grandfather. Second, oh, he's grandfather, therefore he's old. Therefore, more than him, I am banking on all of you. You have to support him. You see how Duryodhan through words, through word jugglery, through verses, he's trying to inspire. And one of the acharyas comment that this is the nature of a true leader. That's another thing that Duryodhan used it in the negative sense. But a leader should always be in such a way that he knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. Right? He knows the way, he goes the way himself, and then shows the way. He knows what he is doing, he knows how to do it, and then he shows as an example to others. And that's exactly what Duryodhana is doing, but in the negative sense. So you have heroes giving us this sense of how you should be, and then you have anti-heroes who are giving the sense of how not to be. Like in the story of Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu, who's the hero? Prahlad. Who's the anti-hero? Hiranyakashipu. One guy is teaching us how to be, and one guy is teaching how not to be. So we are learning from all of them. Duryodhan, as we explained previously, he was very smart as far as decision making is concerned, as far as leading a team is concerned. But the only flaw in Duryodhan was he was so sentimentally attached to other things like name, fame, prestige, that he lost his intelligence of what is right and what is wrong. Next verse. Verse 12. Can we chant together? Tasya sanjanayan harsham kuru vriddha pitamaha simhanadam vinadyochai shankham dadmau pratapavan. Somebody the English?
Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion, giving Duryodhana joy.
We'll speak about conch shells when Krishna blows his conch shell. We'll go ahead. Verse 13. Tata shankascha bheryascha panavanakhago mukha sahasaivavyahanyanta sashabdas tumulo bhavat. Very interesting. Tumulo abhavat. Sanskrit is the original language, and you know that different European languages, Greek and the Roman languages, all slowly and gradually after the reign of Parashuram they manifested, and then finally you have the present day English having its roots from Greek, Latin, Roman. So many of these words from Sanskrit have synonymous pronunciation in English, and you find the words pretty similar. Like the word Parama in Sanskrit, and you have the equivalent in English, paramount. Right? Come very close as far as pronunciation is concerned. Bhratru means brother in Sanskrit, and the English is brother. Right? Bhratru, brother. Matru, mother. Pitru, paternal. Swasra, or sister. Right? Similarly, the word tumula is used here. Tumultuous. Tumula. In Sanskrit, if you see tumula, the sound also comes very close to the word tumultuous in English. Right? Very interesting.
Also, you had paryaptam and aparyaptam, that adding an A to be without
Right.
is also in English, like sexual, asexual,
Right.
that same thing.
Right.
English too.
Again coming from the Sanskrit, adding the A and negating the whole thing. Right. So from 11, 12 and 13 you find how the conch shells are blown. the drums are played, the bugles, the trumpets, the horns, they're all sounded, and the overall sound is tumultuous, as that is supposed to be in a battlefield. Verse 14. Tata shvetair hayair yukte mahati syandane sthitau madavah pandavaschaiva divyo shankho pradadmatuhu. This is the entry of Sri Krishna. The first time the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna is entering the scene. Yay! Haribol! In the Bhagavad Gita. So the first 13 verses are like the director is taking the camera from and verse 14 is like you start from the feet and goes up to the hero. Right? So that's the entry. You find like the hero with the sunglasses, he's just the foot comes out of the car, and then just the sound of the foot, the shoes, and then he goes this way. Verse 14. Anyway, so that's pretty melodramatic. But however, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, everything originates from him. So all this melodrama that you find, and all the comedy, the fight sequence, and the entry is all coming from Krishna. So this is the origin, and that is the imitation. But sadly, because we are more familiar with the imitation, we are relating to the origin with respect to the imitation, right? Alright. Alright. English. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conch shells. What is the difference between the conch shell that is said about others and that of Krishna and Arjuna? Transcendental. The word transcendental. And in Sanskrit, the word used is divyam. Divyo shankho pradattamau. Divya means something that is beyond matter. Right? Although the conch shell is made of the same material, right? But the mood in which it is blown is very important. Right? You can have the same thing. Duryodhana is having the same conch shell. Krishna and Arjuna are having the same external material, so to speak, of a conch shell. But the mood in which it is blown is different. Duryodhana is blowing it to win, to conquer, to rule. And Arjuna is blowing to serve Krishna. Arjuna is blowing to do his duty. Krishna is blowing to help. Sarva dharman paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. To protect the devotees, to destroy the miscreants. That is the mood of the Supreme Lord. To protect the good and destroy the troublemaker. Right? So therefore it is transcendental. The sound vibration is divyam. Therefore when we say the holy name is transcendental, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra we say is spiritual. Sometimes people ask this question, how is it spiritual? The letters in Sanskrit also, Ha, Re, Ka, R, Sh, Na, Krishna, Ra, Ma are all material sound. Isn't it? Everything is material, you write with it. Somebody has a name with Ha, with Ra, with Kra, right? They have different names. What is Krishna Leela's Karmi name?
Krisho.
Krisho. So that has a Kra in that. But not necessarily that's a transcendental name. Krishna's name also has a Kra, but we say that's transcendental. Why? Somebody asked this question. Very interesting. Even in chemistry you find. What are the two elements when you combine together you get water?
Hydrogen and
Hydrogen and oxygen. What is the nature of hydrogen?
Gas.
Gas. What is oxygen? And when they combine together, what is it? Liquid. So individually the letters might sound material, but when they are put together in a specific form, just like H2O, it's not H2O2, that's hydrogen peroxide. CO2, it's not CO, it just makes a different compound altogether, right? The mixture has to be very specific. Similarly, Ka, Kr, Sh and Na individually might be material, but when they are got together in that specific formation, it becomes transcendental. Just like two gaseous things are got together and in the specific composition, it becomes liquid. Similarly, when Ra and Ma are put together back to back, individually they might be material, but when they got together, Rama is spiritual. spiritual sound vibration. So our names, when we chant, if we keep saying our own name, who wants to volunteer? So, tell me some name in this audience. Come on, Pavan. Pavan. Okay. Now you sit and say Pavan, 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 Pavan. After around 5-10 minutes, you just need a glass of water. You're tired. But you have devotees chanting Krishna's name for 40 years. The same Maha Mantra every single day for 40 years, and the spirit is ever increasing. I doubt they would do that by Amarnath, Amarnath, Amarnath. They are going to be tired. You do that 3 times and like, what is this? Of course, I'm saved because the name Amarnath is Lord Shiva's name, so I'm saved. If you talk about some names like Chotu, Motu, they have names like, these days it's a fashion. The names that you actually give for cats and dogs is what's assigned for humans, and the names that you assign for humans is assigned for cats and dogs, right? So you have these names like Chotu, Motu, all these names. If you keep chanting all those names, you're not going to get anywhere. But the names of Krishna, the names of Ramchandra, the names of Vishnu are so powerful and so transcendental. For time immemorial, for so many yugas, pure devotees have been chanting, and the names come down, and even now we are chanting, and we are always chanting, and we will always chant, and we'll feel ever fresh. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Wonderful. Yes, Prabhu.
So, are the names of Krishna, is it objectively spiritual, or is there dependence on the consciousness in which it's chanted? Because, for instance, you have stores like Sino-Rama, they make signs. So, is the Rama in Sino-Rama objectively spiritual sound vibration?
Yes. The holy name of the Supreme Lord, in whatever combination it is, it's always, in whatever mood it is chanted, it gives name. It gives the effect. There is a verse in the 6th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam which actually answers this point, so that you're convinced that I'm not making it up. It says, Sanketyam parihasyam va sthobam halanameva va vaikunta nama grahanam ashesham agham haram vidu. Canto 6 Bhagavatam. It says that the holy name of the Supreme Lord is so spiritual and transcendental, in whatever mood it is chanted, it bears the fruit. Sanketyam. Sanketyam means to sanket karna, to indicate or to point out. Like for example, if you say, assuming your name is Ram, alright? And I say, hey, he's Ram, alright? Or you have the computer specialists who say, RAM capacity, ROM and RAM. They are indicating RAM, Sanketyam, but they get the benefit of chanting Ram. Parihasyam, making fun. Look at the Hare Krishnas. Oh, they are always chanting Krishna, Krishna. Fools. Now they are making fun of those who are chanting, but they still get the benefit of chanting Krishna, Krishna, or Hare Krishna. Sanketyam, to indicate. Parihasyam, making fun. Sthobam, musical performance. You'll have somebody who's not a believer in the Lord's names, but just because he makes money, or that's his career or profession, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And out of the stage, nothing, no devotion. But still, because that's musically inclined and the names of the Lord are chanted, it still bears fruit. Sanketyam, Parihasyam, Sthobam, Sanketyam, Parihasyam, Sthobam, Halanam eva. Halanam means by mistake. Like sometimes you say, what's the name of that, especially if you're in Vrindavan or you're in some of these Varanasi or one of these holy places where the streets are still called by the names of God. So if you're indicating or you make a mistake like, oh, well, what's the name of that street? Or what's the name of that town? Is it Krishna Nagar? No, it's not Krishna Nagar, it's Ram Nagar or something like that. You're trying to remember and accidentally you chant the name of God. Do you get the benefit? Yes, you do. Vaikuntha Nama Grahanam, accepting the name of Krishna, Ashesham Agham Haram Vidhu. Haram means to take away. Ashesham means unlimited. Agham means sin. Vidhu, the great devotees opine. So Sanketyam, Parihasyam, Sthopam, Halanam, Vaikunta Nama Grahanam, Ashesham Agam. So whatever may be the consciousness, even if you want to make fun, continue chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Even if you want to indicate, or you make mistakes, or just for musical performance, or anything of personal gain, still continue to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This kid is very exciting. Do all of you know that he just takes up his little drum at home and he used to bang? I'm not sure if he still does it, but
not right now.
Yeah. So some peace at home. So he used to take his small mini drum and keep playing and keep chanting all day.
But he's still excited to come.
Wonderful.
I want to go.
So for his excitement, we'll stand one more. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So in this verse, there's a specific name for Krishna. What is that? Madhava. Can we pull the Sanskrit? Prasanna Prabhu? Yes? So Madhava Pandavai Vaschaiva Divyau Shankau Pradattamahu. Pradatmatuhu. Madhava is the word. What does the word Madhava mean? It means so many things, but one thing. Whose name is Madhavi?
Radharani.
Yeah, eternally Radharani, but Lakshmi. Lakshmi. And Lakshmi signifies money or wealth. And therefore Madhava, the husband of goddess of fortune, has to be very wealthy. So therefore if he is very wealthy, his position will be very high. But the entry of Sri Krishna is that of the chariot driver of Arjuna. Driver. So interestingly, the word used is Madhava. To say, look who's driving the chariot of Arjuna? The husband of goddess of fortune. Isn't that special? If somebody walks up to us and tells us, oh, would you want to be my driver? What is our response? What is our ego saying? Oh, well, why not? I would love to be your driver. That's a fortune for me. Would we say that? No. It's like, how dare you ask me? Do you think I'm a driver? Do I look like one? You might well say yes, but anyway. But we, with our tiny intelligence and tiny capability and tiny wealth, we still don't want to be driver because that's below dignity. And here is Krishna, the Supreme Lord, agreeing to be the driver of Arjuna. Why is the question. I want all of you to say at least one thing about it. It could repeat, no problem. But just ensure that you maintain what you think and not what others are saying. In school, especially in India, you have this idea. Children, when they're asked questions, the first guy who is supposed to answer, he doesn't know what to do. Alright? So he's like looking around. Then the next guy, oh, after you stand up, you tell me. And this guy is like, he tries to shoot an arrow in the midair. And then he's like, well, I don't know. And the third guy confidently bluffs something. Well, this is because I have read blah, 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 and it's all wrong. Right? And looking at that confidence and taking inspiration, all the guys to follow, they stand up with their chin raised high and the chest strong. It's like, same. And the teacher says, all of you are wrong. Right? So don't do that. Same. Just say what you think. Why do you think it's so special to give the entry of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Lord, as the charioteer of Arjuna, the driver of the chariot of Arjuna? What do you think? What do you think?
To guide him basically so that he can take him to the right path basically.
Interesting. Krishna, the role of Krishna is introduced not as God here, but as the guide for all of us. Wonderful. Yes. What do you think? I think you might give the right answer, so but still. Same.
Same.
Same. All right. If you think about something to tell me, what do you think?
I think sometimes when we are in a dilemma, we are not able to take the decision. So there should be some guru or someone to guide
Right,
us.
as you said, guide.
Yeah, exactly the same. Not same. but-
Same. All right.
So just to
It
show
is
the way,
same.
right way.
Right. Okay.